Is it working? No.
Okay,
right.
so.
Thanks. Hello, everyone. First, I'd add one more point to the dark picture that we've seen in the last presentation. Recently, there was a new AI algorithm that was released from OpenAI. It's called the GPT, and what it does is that you feed it with one line, one sentence, saying, for instance, the tragic accident that happened yesterday in China was devastating. And then the machine learning algorithm generates an entire fake story about this that is coherent and convincing and with also data. So just adding to the dark picture that we've listened and seen. But I'm not going to talk to you about any dark pictures anymore. I'm going to talk about something that is optimistic, an opportunity for people working with news and media to detect violations in news articles using machine learning. So I'm Haytham, I'm from Egypt, and I co-founded a project called akhbarmeter.org. And what we do is we try to fight the manipulation and the fake news and disinformation that news media outlets in Egypt are doing in the society. We thought about this a lot, about who to monitor and who to review the news from, and we came up with two criteria. So basically, if a news website is being followed so much, and if it's making it up to the top news websites in Egypt, then we're probably going to monitor this website. What we do is we go to these websites. We monitor now 10 websites. We go every day to those websites. We pick some news articles that are most viewed on the website, and we answer on each article 22 methodological questions that relates to human rights violations, to manipulation, to the correctness of information, whether it's fake news or not, and also if there are any professional mistakes in the articles. Then we give a score out of 100%, and then the score translates at the end to a grade that is given to the news outlet. If we can show the link, if we can open the link now, I can show you also how we present this to the audience. Is it possible to play the... So basically, this is how it shows. These scores are updated automatically. Only our media analysts have to review the news article, and then automatically the score is calculated, and the score for the article is calculated every 1 week. The score is updated, and every 1 month, another score is updated, and we rank the newspapers based on what is the best and what is the worst. Also, if we go down a little bit, also each article is tagged, whether it's a good article or if it has any manipulation or it has any violation, and then the score that the article receives or the rating is appearing there. It's not visible somehow because of the pixelization, but that's how it works. So back to the presentation. All right, so currently we have about 9,300 rated articles, which is a data set, a reasonable data set that we can work with. These are like how much the violations or the problems in the news articles are distributed among the 9,300 articles. We have about 67% of the articles have manipulation issues. So an article, a title that doesn't correctly match with the content, or an article that is biased, or an entire opinion that favors one politician or the other, or it's like propaganda or marketing for the politician. We have 19% that has human rights violations, hatred speech, violence, and so on. We have about 0.2% of the entire data set fake news. So the fake news is not, now disinformation is much more than just fake information. but it's more of violations to human rights, it's more of manipulation and professional mistakes, journalistic mistakes, like not attributing the source and so on. We have a problem that we have a small team. As we've seen, we have only 2 reviewers, and each reviewer spends about 2 hours in average to review the article. So we thought about how can we optimize this time to make it better for reviewers to focus on the most important questions and give more quality to the questions. We tried with different sorts of AI or machine learning techniques that are available in the market, and there are basically 2 types of things that can be useful for us. One is image classification, and there's a very famous library called TensorFlow. Maybe you can also look into it. It's very useful in classifying images. So for example, an image that has blood in it can be classified using this algorithm and can be detected. There are also algorithms for text classification, like Keras and Naive Bayes. And we picked Naive Bayes as one of the algorithms that we will use, and I will explain to you what it actually does, and also the results that we achieved using this technique. Before going into that, actually Naive Bayes is used, and we use it every day. When we receive emails from people, they're automatically classified into spam and not spam. And what does that is basically a Naive Bayes classifier, which we're going to talk about it now. This is just an overview of our database. So the majority of mistakes that we have that are related to human rights violations are basically stereotyping certain individuals or groups and insulting. Then comes hatred messages, discrimination, intrusion of privacy, and violation to the presumption of innocence principle. And last but not least, the violence or speech or message. What Naive Bayes does is it transforms the article into something called a bag of words. So it disregards the location of the words and it transforms it into numbers. So basically, it says the word it, or I, or the were repeated in the article 6 times or 10 times. By quantifying the number or the frequency of occurrence of words in an article, we can use some complex math equation. It's not that complex anyways, but it's a probabilistic function that says, for example, what is the probability that such a document has similar words to a class that contains a lot of other documents and a lot of other words. And those classes could be spam, not spam. It can be articles that contain human rights violations or not. Articles that contain hatred speech or not. And then, after we generate this kind of classifier, we apply it to new articles. So whenever we receive a new article from a news agency, we compare it with the classifier, this kind of thing that we created, and then we produce a score. And the more the score is, the more the similarity this article is to one of the classes. So we can classify it into article with violence instigation or article with hatred speech and so on. The experiment that we did is we picked only 5 categories of questions, and then we got all the articles that are rated on these categories, and we split them into 2 parts. The first part is 80% of the entire data set. We used it to train our classifier. And what I mean by training is to pick up the frequency of occurrence of words and the probability that those words occur in the whole data set. And then we took 20% of the articles that were rated, whether positive or negative, and we used it to test if our algorithm works or not. And then this is what we achieved as a result. This algorithm was very successful. So basically, it achieves an accuracy of over 75%. So over 75% the algorithm could predict if there's a discrimination in the article, if there is hatred speech, if there are any violation to the presumption of innocence principle and insultation and so on. And we see that the highest one is hatred speech. It's very easy to detect, and also violence instigation messages. This is a preliminary experience, and then we would like to start doing more with images and move forward with other questions and work on it. But this offers a very promising opportunity for people working especially with news and fact-checking and disinformation to automatically classify articles for their reviewers to have an easy job following up and classifying those news. However, we face some problems. First of all, that the data set that we have has only 9,000 articles. And the thing with these machine learning algorithms, the accuracy grows exponentially if you have a lot of data. So if you have more data sets, if you have more rated news articles, then probably the accuracy would be much better. And for us, our goal is to go to an accuracy of 96% in order to keep the process be more automated. Now, our media analysts have to look after the algorithm to see if it's true or not, what it predicted. So we need more employees, of course, to do that, and more funding. Also, the other challenge is that we need to not only, our reviewers need not only to rate the article, but also to pick the sentences where those violations occurred, so that the prediction becomes more accurate and only capturing the sentences that have those violations. So I'll be short, I'll leave you to this, and maybe we can leave the rest of the stuff for questions. And if you have any questions or if you want to talk further about it, please contact me. And the results of this experiment and the code were published also with the Hertie School of Governance, where I'm doing now my doctorate studies. And also I can share it with you if you want. Thank you.
So do we have questions? Okay, there's one. There's one in the first row. Emir, evo ovam. Ima tamo i Salim.
Well, I have been really amazed, by this incredible job you and your classmate have done, in Egypt. Especially Akhbar Meter, it has been, a very interesting project and inspiring. But, where I come from, I am from Iraq. And in Iraq, this country in somehow has been under a very huge broadcasting of fake news. Mm-hmm. And this is a very, very big problem in Iraq and other MENA region countries. So the question is, these techniques, these tools are really maybe powerful tools, but in the end it's not enough and not powerful enough. So my question is to you, don't you think that independent media is really the answer and the solution for this fake news problem? Are we going to see this in Egypt and in other MENA region countries? Thanks.
As far as I understood, you mean that this could be a solution for our problems in the media? I think the answer is not really clear, but what we do is that we just offer a contribution to the issue. We cannot solve it and say we solve it. We offer a place or a platform where we hold those media institutions accountable. So we spot their violations and we say to the public, they did this, please stop reading them. And we noticed something really interesting. So every year, the project started in 2014, and we monitor the most, or the top 10 websites with a lot of traffic through Alexa and similar web rankings. And the thing that we noticed that every year, this list changed. So at least 2 or 3 websites, news websites, drop out of the list, meaning that people are not following them anymore, which, yes, could be attributed to us, but also to other factors. But I think that we play a role in this, telling people, those are bad websites, please don't follow. They offer you manipulative news, they offer you news that violate your rights. So I think we contribute, so hopefully one day we can have a solution to the problem. And the question of also seeing this in other countries, it's a bit complicated because these kind of algorithms needs a lot of training, training data. So if we have training data from other countries, we can definitely create similar algorithms to help people who fact check the media, but if we don't, then it's very difficult to automate it because language is different and the use of language is different between one country and another.
Thank you, Haytham, for your presentation, and I would like to salute you for the great effort that you're doing, you and your organization. Actually, you answered part of my question because I wanted to ask you about the impact of your work, because what you're trying to do obviously is to hold media accountable. So by alerting society that this media is credible, others are like being manipulated or affiliated with the government or the intelligence agencies and stuff like that. So did you do, like, I don't know, as part of M&E, like project, how to assess or evaluate your project and the impact? Did you do like some study or statistics, for example, like using indicators or like asking people, making polls about like how your work affected the audience, like or the audimat of the media? And also, let's say, for example, that all people like now in Egypt do not trust media anymore. So they will turn into, for example, blogs or Facebook. And with the new press law in Egypt that would consider anyone who has a Facebook, who has more than 5,000 followers on Facebook, that would consider as a media and thus will be held accountable as media, for example, for distributing fake news and stuff like that. Do you think of expanding, for example, your work to cover like the most influential Facebook pages or Facebook or personal accounts for influencers and policymakers in Egypt or not? And thank you.
Thank you so much for the question. I think there are two different questions. The one, I will answer the last one, the one related to social media. We thought about this a lot, and we have it in plan, but we don't have currently any capacity to do it. We don't have any funds to do it. We applied for many places, but we didn't receive funds yet. But we have it in plan, and we have a separate methodology for it because the language is different. The way information are disseminating on Facebook is kind of different. But we have it in plan, and I think we will implement it soon. And the second question was about holding those media accountable and that people could listen to other sources other than news media outlets, and then maybe some news media outlets are not there anymore. That's true. But when we look at numbers, I mean, people are still following those websites. They're achieving very high traffic. Some of them even are even before Facebook in terms of traffic, total traffic, which is surprising. And it changes, the scene is changing a lot, but still they are getting a lot of traffic online, and so many people are visiting them. And many of people are being referred from Facebook or Twitter to those websites. So the links are being shared there, and they use a lot of clickbaiting to make people open the links. And here it comes to say, okay, you do clickbaiting, we also gonna warn people and tell them you're doing clickbaiting and you're just manipulating them. And we did also a study before with these kind of things. We put a fake news. So we put a fake title, fake image about something that was concerning the Egyptian public, and we put an advertisement on it. And once people click the link, it opens the website and says, "Congratulations, you opened the link at least to read what is written." And we figured out that only 10% of the people clicked the link. And there's several thousands who commented and liked and stuff without. So we're definitely going to move to social media one day and try to approach people there.
There's a question up there. Yeah.
Are you an Egyptian national?
Yes.
So were you given any like problems by the current or previous Egyptian governments for the nature of work that you do?
Sorry, what kind of problem?
Were you given any problems by the current or the previous Egyptian governments about the nature of work that you
Yeah.
do?
I mean, as a project, we're very balanced. We try not to approach politics, so we try to be very balanced, and that's why we're still running. Our fight is not with politics. Our fight is simply with media. We want a more professional media, and we sometimes get messages and stuff, but we're still operating, and it's going fine. We even give trainings in Egypt and for journalists, and we're very involved with journalists who do good job. So as you see on the website, we also rate like best news outlets. So what we do is, for example, each month we publish the best topic that was published, where the journalist had done a really great job. And once we've given them flowers and stuff, and we went to their offices and we congratulated them for doing something good. So we don't only show the bad side, but we also encourage people doing good job. So, but we're fine. I think
We have question there, yeah.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Ahmed. Thank you for your presentation. I'm also Egyptian.
You're welcome.
I know the situation in Egypt is extremely crazy, but 5 years ago, all these websites had a relative meaning when it's come to political situation in Egypt. Some of them was independent media owned by businessmen who wanted to have a media outlet. Some of them was governmental media owned by government agencies, some of them security agencies. Today, all this media is owned by security agencies, including the one on the paper belong to businessmen. So 5 years ago, I would understand, yes, it's important because this means something. Today, it's all the same thing. Even, and I'm sure you know more than me, some days you have the same headlines in all these websites and all these news media outlets. The same, not the same concept, the same literally, each single word is the same in every media. How we are going to fight this? In a way, not damaging the project and not putting people in danger. Thank you.
So my answer to this is basically we're not focusing on this side of the equation. We're focusing on the side of the equation where the user is a big player. So what we do is we try to be to act like a news aggregator. So people come and read the news on our platforms instead of going to those websites. And if you notice, we've done a lot of several changes where we try to spot the errors inside the article while people are reading it. So we have the entire article taken from the source and attributing, of course, the website and putting a link to the original article, but also highlighting text where there are some violations and where there are fake news and stuff like that, so that the user, when they read it and they see like there's a red underlining on specific sentences, they say, oh, okay, and they click on it and they are directed downwards to the answer of the question, and it says, oh, the correct information is this. So we're not basically like saying stop really watching. We're saying come to read the news at our website, because our website will give you tips and also show you if there are any violations or if there are any false news that you need to be aware of. And also now sometimes we put the big picture. So we say, oh, this article is missing some information about this and this and this and this that happened in the past, and we complete the picture for the viewer. So this is also something different we add. So we're not aiming at making conflicts, but we're trying to help media consumers in Egypt, and at the same time hold those media organizations accountable, regardless of where they're coming from or who they belong to. But thanks to the question. Yeah.
So the time is up. Thank you, Haitham, and thanks everyone. Let's move to the next session.
Thanks.